Chapter 7. Danger in the Open. The sunlight filtered through the tall buildings of downtown Los Angeles as Jenna and Paisley strolled along the bustling streets. It had been Jenna's idea to get Paisley out of the penthouse for a while. "You've been cooped up long enough," she'd said. "You need to see the world." Paisley, however, had been nervous about leaving. "What if I mess up? What if people figure out I'm not normal?" Jenna had laughed softly, resting a hand on Paisley's shoulder. "Normal is overrated. And besides, I'll be with you the whole time." Now, as they walked past shops and food stands, Paisley's wide eyes took in the sights, the noise, the smells, the sheer amount of people. It was overwhelming, but also thrilling. "Are humans always this loud?" Paisley asked, wincing slightly as a car honked nearby. "Pretty much," Jenna replied with a grin. "You get used to it." They stopped by a street vendor selling ice cream, and Paisley tilted her head, curious. "What's that?" Jenna chuckled. "You've never had ice cream before?" Paisley shook her head, and Jenna wasted no time ordering 2 cones. "Here," she said, handing one to Paisley. "Try it." Paisley took a tentative lick and gasped. "It's cold." "Yeah, that's kind of the point," Jenna said, smirking. Paisley's face lit up as she took another bite. "It's delicious." Jenna watched her with amusement, her heart warming at the sight of Paisley's joy. "You're adorable. You know that?" Paisley paused, her cheeks flushing. Thank you," Jenna laughed, shaking her head. "Come on, let's keep walking." They continued down the street, but their carefree outing was abruptly interrupted when a child running with a water balloon tripped nearby. The balloon flew through the air, heading straight for Paisley. Jenna reacted instantly, stepping in front of Paisley and catching the balloon with one hand. It burst on her, soaking her shirt, but sparing Paisley. "Are you okay?" Jenna asked, turning to Paisley. Paisley nodded, her eyes wide with fear. "That was close." Jenna placed a reassuring hand on her arm. "Don't worry, I've got you." But as they moved to leave, neither of them noticed the man standing across the street, watching intently. He'd seen Jenna's quick reaction, and more importantly, he'd noticed Paisley's nervousness. Something about her seemed off, and his curiosity was piqued. Later, as they sat on a bench near a fountain, Jenna noticed that Paisley was still shaken. "Hey," she said softly, nudging her. "You okay?" I don't know if I can do this," Paisley admitted. "Being out here, pretending to be human, it's hard." "You're doing great," Jenna said. "Besides, you're not pretending. You are human." "Sort of." Paisley gave her a small smile, but her balance wavered as she leaned back against the bench. She slipped, and Jenna instinctively reached out, catching her. Paisley ended up half on Jenna's lap, her arms clinging to Jenna's shoulders. "Whoa, careful," Jenna said, her voice soft. Paisley looked up at her, their faces inches apart. Her heart raced as she realized how close they were. "Sorry," she whispered. "You don't have to apologize," Jenna replied, her eyes locked on Paisley's. For a moment, the world around them seemed to fade away. Jenna's hand rested lightly on Paisley's waist, while Paisley's fingers brushed against Jenna's arm. Their breaths mingled, and for a split second, it felt like they might kiss. But the sound of a street performer playing guitar nearby broke the spell. Paisley quickly sat up, her face red. "Sorry," she said again, avoiding Jenna's gaze. Jenna cleared her throat, trying to compose herself. It's fine. No harm done." As they made their way back to the penthouse, Paisley couldn't shake the feeling that they were being followed. She glanced over her shoulder a few times, but didn't see anyone suspicious. Meanwhile, the man who had been watching them earlier lingered in the shadows, his curiosity growing. He'd noticed how Jenna had shielded Paisley, how protective she was, and he'd seen the fear in Paisley's eyes when the water balloon had almost hit her. She's hiding something, he muttered to himself, and I'm going to find out what.